Alright, hello everyone. Arpai's Spies here, set to cast this match between Solace Endeavor Esports and Coinflip. And give me just a second so I can set up the sides in-game stuff, as I expect it to be the other way. Shouldn't take long. And I almost just typed in coin backward. Ow. Looks like there's another attempt to use a new draft menu. Hopefully this one doesn't bug out as previous ones had. Hello to whoever's joined us so far. There are two matches going simultaneously at this point, so not everyone might be here at this point. Those who would be watching. Alright, it's like the ban phase has begun. Syndra locked in. Gotta get. There we are. Alright. Darius banned for Coinflip. I've not seen Solace Endeavor play yet, but I have spectated Coinflip quite a few times thus far. Excited to see what the matchup is going to be. We have Olaf and Gwen taken out. That's a lot of topside aim picks, although jungle flexes as well. Responded to with a lot of mid bans. Ari being one of the safer picks pulled out. There's the first pick, Swain, for Solace. Oh, you know, Swain can be flexed and roughly 3 positions at the moment. Not sure how his top viability is at present, or his... I don't think his jungle has prominence. So, alright. Answered to with a Hui. And a Mumu. Already fair amount of magic damage for Mumu to be amplifying. We'll see how Solace shifts the direction of their game plan from this point. Here comes the Rumble. A lot of magic damage thus far. And the Milio. I want to say that would point to a possible Lucian lock for Solace in the second pick phase. Because I doubt we're going to see a Swain and Milio paired together in the bot lane. That would be silly. There's the Janna pick. Not sure how I feel about that, considering there isn't much engage picked yet on Solace's side, and considering it looks like a lot of their utility picks have already been decided, Rumble can be flexed in the jungle or top lane. Although technically can be flexed as support as well, but we'll see. I'd possibly assume that to be the case if... Just checking the audio outputs. Alright. There's the Kaisa and Mel ban. Answer to with more top lane bans in the Mordekaiser and Cho'Gath. What's Coinflip going for their top end then? Alright, there's the Tristana lock. Tristan Janna, not sure how I feel about that. Solace is going to be using aggressive bot lane, potentially, because of the Milio there. So seeing Tristana and Janna together on a team doesn't seem as if... Okay. Guess they're going for Ashe instead? I really thought I was going to see a Lucian play here. But picking Ashe into a Tristana and a Mumu seems a bit dangerous to me. We'll see how they pull it off. Final pick going to Urgot. Not a lot of backline access from Solace's end, but they do at least have a fair amount of pick pressure. But with that pick pressure, there is, you know, the Amumu and Janna that can help with disengaging. Tristana as well with her ult, so we'll see just how Solace manages to round out their gameplay and go for it. And here comes the Shen. Last pick. Kind of works against the picking focus that Solace has put themselves into. As for the lanes, I believe that should be a Rumble in the jungle, Swain mid, and Urgot top. I would assume. We will start the queue for the actual draft. Bet. Just waiting on whatever popped up for Brandy. Alright, so team evaluations at this point. Coinflip. They do have engage potential. They do have pick potential, and they do have plenty of counter engage as well as deterrence from opponent engage. You know, former bits with the Hui and Amumu, and latter bits with Janna, Tristana, and Shen. While Solace, they do have a lot of, no came out of control pressure with the Swain and Ashe together and Rumble to capitalize off of any successful pushes like that. Urgot could possibly help shift a lot of aggression in if need be. But that is only if the chances actually present themselves to them. In terms of laning phase matchups, like, as much as I want to say that I think Solace is going to have a hard time in the bot lane, I don't have it attributed in my mind just enough on quite how much Milio passive adds to those early game trades. So it being a Janna with a Tristana rather than someone more aggressive like Leona or Nautilus might help make the outcomes a bit more neutral, rather than being heavily skewed towards Coinflip. It all really depends on how the charges are handled, as well as the rocket jump positionings and Milio's responses. Jungle pressure may play a big part in handling the skew of the bot lane, but they could just end having it a bit more neutral. Both Tristana and Ashe scale pretty darn well, so in the mid lane, Swain is a lot more mid-range close, way more aggressive in the distance, but with a lot of bit of control power of his own close range, while Swain has those delays, but they were fine-tuned to be a lot more aggressive and easy to land. So, see just how it goes. If I recall, Swain shouldn't have very much problems keeping up with Hui's pushing abilities. Alright. Head on to the actual picks. Looks like I was right. Not quite sure how the Urgot and Shen matchup goes. Alright, as we hit the final 3-minute queue. In terms of who I think has the advantage over just the draft, I want to say Coinflip, because it feels like their ability to, I don't know, actually. It's kind of hard to say. Like, Coinflip does have a bit simpler of a game plan to look at, but I don't think they have a wide enough pool of options available to them. They're a solid team, uh, but it feels like they might be reliant on getting Tristana or Hui in a relatively solid spot ahead in order to get carried away in this match. While Solace has several tools in the kit, in their team's kit, uh, to be able to get the game underway at a good pace for them, as well as rounding up the later portions of the game. So I want to say that if Coinflip manages to secure a solid early game lead, with the Tristana getting ahead, notably, and Shen managing to pull even or positive into the Urgot, that they should be in good standing to win. But if the game goes neutral for too long, I think that Solace might have a chance. Alright, as we are heading in on the last minute, and I can't think of anything else to say. Sometimes I feel like it goes in game when the timer hasn't even hit 0 yet, which isn't a bad thing. Here we are on the Summoner's Rift map that looks like it's Arena. Here come the Moss Tompers. Don't send enemy draft before. I don't know, man. Most Rotonas manage to, well, leaking their drafts constantly, so maybe it's the key to victory. Throw the enemies off the scent. That is a victory on Bori's end, assuming they have mana flow banned. They do not. Oh, they do. Yes. Already 25 resource lead over their opponent. Here comes the early aggression. Shen is going to be losing a lot of health from this. Does not have his passive shield available. And I think he missed his Q as well. Puts him in a very dangerous spot. I'll let directed camera a bit here. Start. Alright, so despite the rocky beginning, they're playing a bit slow. Here comes level 2 aggression from Tristana. Does not fully pop the card. Nice stack for the Swain. Alright. Taking a look at the junglers now. Amumu just finished his Krugs, will be working his way to the bottom side of the map. Basically going to be matched up with Rumble here. So we can expect possible scuffle over the scuttle. As the ward on Raptors went away. This would be the point that either Shen start playing safe or, yep, there's Janna moving up to set the Tribush ward. Expecting Rumble to have to walk over it in the near future if he wants to do anything on the bot side, but there are always other avenues such as going in lanes, so see how that goes. Rumble seemingly leaving his red buff later. Nice taunt out from Brandino. Avoiding the Urgot. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, the plating was up. There comes the flit, and Shen does block. Nice taunt and kill. Beautiful. Very close, but beautiful nonetheless. As Amumu does get control of the scuttle. Rumble getting a late kill on the red buff. Maybe it's a controlled kill. A lot of vision in that particular nook and cranny for the red team. As Shen comes back to lane, good lead, but he will be taking a lot of hurt from the minions in Urgot. Amumu heading his way top. He smelled blood. Shen had W, but he couldn't pull it. Unfortunate. Amumu could not get there in time. It's mid lane. Swain will be using his teleport. Quite a bit of XP loss. Late teleport, he's probably going to be losing about 5 or 6 minions, maybe. Unfortunate. Struggling, but did manage to at least clear all those. Shen has unfortunate death, but his wave's slow pushing. Not going to have any assistance for crashing with Amumu working his way towards the bot. What's his clearing at this point? While Rumble is working his way to the top. So, maybe. We'll see. But in general, at present, maybe something going on mid. Fair damage from the Swain. Doesn't have his ultimate yet. But yeah. Forgot looking to abuse Shen some. Yeah, Swain may have done a bit of a trading with Hui there, but he's down below half health at this point. Hui will be coming back nice and healthy with a fully purchased item. And Shen ult should be up here in a bit. Might have wanted to stay in lane a bit longer just to have that burn, actually. What is what it is. Going sneaky sneak. See how that ends up in a bit. Rumble is working his way towards the top side. We might see another attempt to gank top. Rumble will not have his equalizer yet. However. And Void Grubs aren't up for a bit over a minute. Doesn't look like Rumble will be there for the crash. As Rusty's Crow is spotted. What will his game plan be now? Ooh, Swain going hard aggressive on Hui, forces the flash out. Gets out of his ultimate. We'll see a replay in a bit. Does get a health stack. Amumu, very prevalent on catching the Swain. Knocked up by the Janna Tornado. Kill goes to the Janna as well. Rumble gets out with his life. Emilio swings by. Alright, let's see what happened up in the top side. And then I'll fast forward. Get back to live-ish. Bit of poke under the tower. There comes the taunt. 1 tower hit, 2 tower hits. Caught him. Ultimate comes out. Blocks what he can, but not going to be enough. As Triumph heals him a bit more. Alright. And we are back. Very close call for the Urgot. Unfortunate for the Shen. The auto-targeting for Urgot's W is pretty fierce at times. A lot of hope was going on there. Ashe very afraid to step up, just because, you know, the whole implication that is Tristana. That there, assassin marksman. Ashe kind of unable to get too much CS. Whenever she volleys the wave, it pushes it away from her, so. There's the reset for the Tristana. Half of Ashe's health gone with just the bomb. His Void Grubs does go to C. Find myself on Solace, I would say. Not quite sure what Hui's doing. Is that like a wave pulling strategy or something because of the slow? Does injure them though. Oh well. Rumble making his way top? Is he gonna be going? Playing safe, doesn't know if the Tribush is warded or not. Does probably know the Pickles Bush is warded. Alright, Janna recall has finished. Forgot coming out with the aggression play yet again. Cannon denied from himself. Fortunately, forgot. Shen is in a bit of a pickle as it stands. As Coinflip will be opting to take this dragon. At this phase of the game, it's a bit okay. for Brandino to be a bit behind. Nice trade. This is cooldown, but it's what it is. Alright, waves pushed under tower at this point. 1 hit, 2 hit, nice. Taunt under the tower yet again. There's the flip. Ultimate shortly. Flash away. Does land the ultimate. But Shen takes him down with that nice Q buff he got recently. Flash for flash, but netting a kill. Both players have teleport up. Shen does not have any items to help with the wave clear at the moment. Hopefully, this next wave will be able to kill his cannon. But see. Nope, Urgot does manage to snag it. It's a bit difficult for him to freeze waves, but try what he can. Just to charge Shen as much CS as he's able to. Shen seems to be going for Titanic first, perhaps. Hui going hard in on the aggression towards Swain. He's not having a great time. At least his wave clear is quick enough. Hui faking his recall. Shen trying to bait out. Here comes both the Rumble and Amumu ultimates as Shen dashes away. Rusty Crow will die. Swain's teleport is used to go top. It's going to be a lot of plates going to Hui as a result. But here's a Tristana going aggressive on the Ashe. Gets knocked away by both Trist and Janna ultimate simultaneously. Alright, calming down. Will back up. Looks like a dive up in the top. Shen walking into the Rumble in his bush. Nice! Hook from the Urgot. Yeah, unfortunately, building straight armor when you're going up against AD or an AD top laner plus an AP jungler is not a particularly safe route, unfortunately, for Brandino. So the Rumble's absolutely going to be giving him a harsh time. No flash, or no, well, he does have flash, actually. Nice! Ultimate from Shen to finish the Swain off, but it is not soon enough to save his way. It's the fight between the Tristana and Ashe. Flash away from the Ashe, only to get caught off by Brandino! Getting his ultimate cooldowns. And this looks like a Milio death. As Janna and Shen both balance out the tower aggro. And Hui comes in to stop a bit more of the push from Urgot. Wait, did I say Shen? I meant to say Hui. Sorry if I said Shen. As tower is very close to death, but just doesn't seem in a hurry to get the gold from it, so what it is. If I recall, the gold value of outer turrets. Oh, actually, I'm really surprised that Triss let that tower live. That would have been a lot more gold, thanks to the plate. But I guess playing it safe is fair. Times like this, maybe you do need to play a bit greedy. The game is going to be getting away from you eventually. But we'll see how things go. We still got about 16 minutes for average game length to be expended, so. While the gold and dragons point to a present lead for Coinflip, a lot of that gold kills that went into Shen's pocket, so I would kind of say it's even at a point. But it really depends, again, on just how much more Tristana is able to bag for herself. As Shen's taking a lot of pressure from Urgot. Black Cleaver into the heavy armor rush early. It's not particularly healthy. Comes yet another taunt under tower. Eliminates the shield pretty quickly from the Urgot, but it looks like he will be losing his tower, so. There comes the flash Q. Urgot tries to dash away. There comes the flash. There is another kill for Shen, but he did lose a tower as a result, so. Who's to say how much it was worth? Rumble escapes the way, Janna. Tristana. Oh. Janna getting nailed by that Ash Arrow. Triss sneaks the enemy's red buff, which had been stolen from her allies earlier. I think it was probably the Shen that took it. Nah. Who knows? No one ever knows. Right. So Triss is getting pretty close to her second completed item. Urgot also pretty close to his own. Shen still not having finished his first. Again, getting there though. Does have teleport, so must be biding his time. We'll be facing yet another 2v1 situation. Does have a ward to give him a bit of leeway in that. Tristana and Janna will be rotating bot. There is possibly some expectance in what is to come. Might be an overextension. There comes the taunt. Urgot jumping into the arrow. Smashes into the wall. Brandino going hard aggressive onto Rumble. Here comes the flash from Tristana, but decides it is not worth it. Turns around to take the Urgot. Brandino taking the kill. As he should have enough for his Titanic Hydra at this point. Swain catching the Hui. Here comes the ultimate. Hui does have flash, as does Swain. Are you going to be taking it? Here comes Ash Arrow. Hui is inactive for some time, but will that be enough to help him get out? Rusty Crow coming along, does land the bandage toss. Out comes the ultimate, but Shen is hard on Swain, but it might not matter because he does not have magic resistance or any means to stop this healing that Swain is getting access to. Because he's got a Bramble Vest and not an Oblivion Orb, and as a result, Swain does not want to punch him unless he gets taunted. As a lot of pressure being put on the bottom side of the map by Tristana here, getting a lot of value out of the Shen teleport, or, well, Shen Stand United that went up top side. Despite Krieger dying, getting some of that macro presence is not particularly bad, I don't think. As we yet again take a peek at the Shen into Urgot here. This time with Titanic. Ah, Urgot has Hullbreaker. Those cannons are going to be notably more bulky. Alright, there comes the equalizer. Krieger will be dying shortly, though. Getting overheatedly bonked. As Milio stumbling upon Tristana. But she only seems interested in the scuttle at this point. Until she looked. Here comes the Ash Arrow. Will possibly be locked down by the Swain here. Let's see. Swain does get close enough to the Janna, who narrowly avoids the E. Atacon has spawned. Is that red? No, it's... I think it's gray. Because on the HUD indicator it shows gray. Good on Janna helping Tristana get away from that situation. And getting herself out safely as well. Blue buff has been stolen, so Krieger might have a bit of issues in this upcoming fight. Only has one finished item still. Triss does have her second complete. So it is the AD carry versus the top laner at this state, this part. A lot of damage going on to Brandino. Shield coming out onto him. Whew, that magic damage is no joke. Does get hooked by the Urgot. Terrify will be afflicting Krieger, as Rusty Crow does manage to secure the dragon, but at the cost of the lives of his allies. As Rumble is going ham on Tristana, nearly dies to that to the cluster bomb, whatever it's called, that was thrown onto him. 4 kills, everyone nearly dead for the most part. Looks like it might be an inner for an inner. Which may be a fair trade for the Tristana. Over 2,000 gold lead over the Ashe. And once again, you do want that power on her. She only has 2 kills thus far of her team's 9. Any bit more that they could squeeze into her, the better. Looks like she opted for a boot upgrade as well as Zeal purchase. And Urgot's on to his 3rd item already with 11k gold in his pocket. Shen might want to start looking into magic resist investment. Has a Giant's Belt. Is that going to be opting for... I forget what the magic resist Sunfire was called. I know it's not on an unending despair. As the Ashe Arrow cleanly avoids... Janna cleanly avoids the Ashe Arrow. Yes, the arrow narrowly avoided its opponent. So that is red Atacon, right? That's the revival one, I think. Maybe. Alright. Swain very much out of position. A lot of hurt from the Tristana. Rocket jumping out. Here comes the Shen ultimate. Yep. Kept her alive. There comes the Trist ultimate to disengage, but it is not enough as the Urgot ultimate snatched her away before the shielding and healing could go off. And Mikhail does not remove suppressions. It was a fair attempt. Yep, Thornbound Atacon. That will be the revival effect. It is no longer instantaneous, but instead has a delay. So it's kind of just like, you know, a bit quicker of a revive. I want to say it's like, what, 15 seconds or something? Or is it a percentage reduction? Let's see. Wait. Is this different? Yeah, did they change Atacon? I haven't read some notes regarding the monsters recently. I'm sorry. If someone could correct me on what this Atacon is supposed to provide, would appreciate. Ash Arrow comes out, misses. Swain does manage to land an E, however. But there is, fortunately enough for Tristana, a tower right there, as well as a handy-dandy Amumu. But Krieger is pushing down the bot side. Teleport will be up in 40 seconds. Urgot does take out Janna. Turns to Brandino, who arrived from his teleport just now. Will be pushing mid on his own as his allies start trying to take the Baron again. But Rusty Crow's sitting around the back, just biding his time. There comes the bandage toss. Does manage to steal. Gets out. Dies to the Leandries and supplementary damage from the Ash flashing over. That leaves us with 4 Baron buffs, 4 Coinflip, living up to its name in that moment, as they will seemingly get this soul, maybe? Here comes Rumble, rushing his way in. Equalizer was set down, but that just helped them finish it faster, if anything. Unfortunate for Solace. But you know what that means. Next Dragon's Elder. 6 minutes for that, if it does come to pass. Alright. So Baron buff, Windrake Soul. How well do these champions utilize Wind Soul? I can never remember whether it starts for Shen before or after his teleport with Stand United finishes. But Tristana should have a pretty solid time with it. Here comes Janna. They are trying to take out this Urgot. He's possibly going for a turn. Nope. Ash Arrow takes out the way. Here comes the Amumu. Tristana in a good spot on the side. They take out the Urgot. Milio going down not long after. Brandino taking the tower. Will be Ash next. They're not even using Baron empowered minions for these plays. Next up, out of position was the Rumble, recalling on Vision. Unfortunate for him. That is nearly 30 seconds of revive timers for blue team. They did get Atacon, but I guess that revival boon doesn't exist any longer, so there's nothing they're able to use it on. It's some sort of death trigger now. And might this be the end? 10 seconds. They are deciding to retreat. Good call. Tristana jumping up 5 kills from the last assessment, I guess. Has more than enough gold for next item. What'll it be? We shall see. Every single one of those kills went to the Trist. Beautiful for her. Wait, was that an LDR purchase? I believe. If so, then that is not going to be a great time for Solace. And they managed to pull off exactly what they needed in terms of the funneling of power into the Trist. Unfortunately, Hui has been a bit struggling throughout, but he still does enough for what they need. Pings on Urgot trying to catch him out. Will they be able to? There comes the rocket jump. They do not want him to have leeway. Here comes the teleport. Janna misses. There comes the bomb, but it's not going to be enough as Urgot narrowly avoids doom. Alright, Tristana Flash is still on cooldown as well as Ashes, but ultimates are all up and ready, including Stand United, for both sides. There's a lot more flashes down for Solace. Well, I guess it's 4 flashes down as opposed to 3, but technically, a single flash has a lot of value, so it holds up. Moo's flash is going to be up in a bit. There's no objectives on the map at the moment. Baron buff is gone. Elder Dragon will be up in 2 minutes. Urgot trying to go from the rear. Doesn't manage to get much. Does land his ultimate onto the Tristana, but with the Stand United shield as well as Janna working together, she didn't really take anything, as Solace will be backing off at this point. They will be surrendering the tower in order to defend their base from this super minion wave. As the sieging begins, 2 knockups. A lot of damage going out onto the Swain. He pops his ultimate, gets disengaged by the Janna. Urgot trying to fight off the Shen. He's able to just shrug a lot of it off thanks to his shield. And heavy investment into his armor, plus those plated steel caps. Upgrade. Here come the recalls. They will be setting up for this Elder Dragon or Baron. 15 seconds for Baron. The recall does remove some of their tempo, but Shen did stay out. Stand United's not up for another 40 seconds, so. Right, and it looks like Coinflip will be getting a Baron for free and charging towards Elder Dragon instantly. And it looks like Solace will possibly be trying to contest this Elder Dragon, but with the Super Minion wave pushing in their mid, it's only a matter of time until the macro pressure forces them away from the objective if it gets stalled out for too long. But it looks like Coinflip just wants to burn this down as quickly as they can. But they do have to contest with a lot of this vision. Shen is putting a lot of hurt onto Urgot, however. There comes the equalizer. Stopping the dragon. In comes the flash. Rusty Crow secures the Elder Dragon, as we can expect Coinflip to annihilate their opponents following up on that clear. Triple, here comes the Quadra, and Tristana is gunning for that Penta. There comes the Rage Quit from the Rumble. And the Pentakill. Congratulations, Bread Team, on winning Game 1. At 33 minutes and 37 seconds. Almost with the perfect 3-3-3-3, but, you know. Very nice job, Game 1. You managed to pull the outcome that you needed. You didn't let Solace get away with it, and the funnel towards the Tristana took a bit to get going, but when it did, it went well, and that was all that mattered. Boy, does she hurt like a truck. Fortunately for the Urgot, he gets a bit outranged by her. Without those ways in, like all the pick opportunities and stuff, especially counteracted by, you know, Janna existing, Amumu existing, and Mikhail's on Janna being, you know, purchased. It it takes a lot of the entryways from Solace to actually be able to capitalize on any possible. You know, there's protect the Kog'Maw teams, and then there's protect the Tristana. If you can remedy that their Tristana brain, do well. And it looks like they will be swapping sides for this upcoming match, so Coinflip will be blue, and once the spectator spots have an opening, I will move to fix tags for in-game. Do 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 do. Ah, okay. Atacon is the same always now. Good to know. So they got rid of roses and they got rid of the res. Yep. Of course. I was waiting for it to open this entire time, but the 3-second window I look away from the league tab, they ask me to go away. Right. You'll pardon me for the tag fixing. Alrighty. We must test your vigilance. Reaper, we can have a fist fight behind the Denny's to decide. Buddy, it's not Waffle House. If it's not Waffle House, it's not a fist fight. Well, to be fair, at least in Ohio, there's Waffle Houses and Denny's. However, my one time going to a Denny's did not go well, so. I just hope both teams have fun and also Coinflip wins. It is that one-sided favoritism that really makes the spirit grow. Alright, the bands we're going at. Daniel, just a heads up, you don't really digest food from those kinds of places. They just kind of go through. So you don't really need to wait. If anything, going right after eating might raise your motivations. Holy crap. Solace coming in with the none pick for their first pick, so we're going to be here for a 5v4, everyone. Just kidding, first pick was Vex. Alright, so Coinflip going for that Victor. Lock in B1. Answered to with Vex and Jinx by Solace. Vex pick into Victor seems a bit odd. Vex pick early in general seems a bit odd. Vex is kind of a counter pick into high mobility. Well, kind of. Does dissuade the use of like melee assassins and whatnot of the ilk, but I don't think she has a great time into generic mages. So we'll see how that ends up. And having Sivir and Karma as the supplementary picks afterwards don't help. Someone in chat asking Solace to play Echo. You see, Echo's a bit difficult of a champion to play into coordinated play. Well, and probably into a Sivir might not be the best idea. Also, shield break picks are open. It could be a bad angle potentially, so. And if he gets behind, he's kind of a difficult spot to catch up, so. Like, the stun utility is nice and all, but kind of hard to actually get an in. Alright. First pick after the round of bans comes Lilia. Ah, there's the Sejuani pick. That is the reason for the Vex. Who will Coinflip's final be? Camille! I'm not seeing many exotic support picks from Coinflip. These 2 games. Unless it's a Karma top, you know. But who would really have the heart to play Karma top? And Solace locking in Susan for their final pick. Leaning heavily into the late game. While Coinflip does have a scaling team as well. There at least are some solid options for Coinflip to be using against Susan. Alright, as the actual draft picking is underway, time for the matchup evaluation. So Solace is aiming for Snowball into late game, with Lilia and Vex being their ins. But Vex, I think, is going to be having some troubles because of largely because of Victor and not really all that favorable matchup to be going into. Because, like, I feel if Karma roams at all, Vex is going to have a bad time. Karma roaming plus Sejuani being there could be even a worse time. And even in a neutral state, I don't think the Vex really has much agency into Victor in that one-on-one scenario. Lilia, I think, can at least put some pressure onto Sejuani, as she does excel into melees and she does clear camps much faster, especially as time goes on. I'm not quite sure how the Camille and Susan matchup goes. I would assume that it's Camille favored unless she doesn't manage to hold a good wave state. We'll see how that goes. I haven't seen Coinflip give me any reasons to think against them. Team. So I feel like, well, they didn't know they were going into a Susan. But again, I don't think I see many routes for Susan to actually get much personal use out of themselves. And while Lilia is pretty decent melees, I think Sejuani is a bit of an outlier from them somewhat, just because of the severe range that her ultimate provides her, and all the various tools that Coinflip can utilize against Lilia to prevent her from being as skittery as she would like to be. So I want to say that for me, this match I would say would be Coinflip favored. That being said, Sivir works well in front to back. I don't think that Solace's team is one that wants to try and I don't think Solace's team is one that wants to try fighting in a particularly strategic setup, which might prove problematic for them, but we'll see how that goes. Because, like, I would assume that general late game positioning that Vex and Jinx want to be somewhat close to each other so that Vex can dissuade any sort of mobility engages onto them, but Camille and Sejuani both kind of have ways to get around that, in a sense. And Sivir, or Boomerang can always kind of disrupt that sort of Sona-esque stay near me playstyle. And I am just not quite sure how Susan. But we shall see. Got about a minute till we go in. What's everyone else's outlook? You think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? Or you just want to give your support to those you wish to win? Alrighty, as the match is underway. Looks like we're going to go for a rather interesting start. From Coinflip's end into a 5-point defense. Or 4.5-point defense. Things got there a bit late, but I guess now it is somewhat 5 points. Camille has teleport. Come the recalls, however. Jinx did throw down a vision ward, but the enemies do not know about it. So while their bot lane may be at a disadvantage, information the enemy doesn't know may not hurt them. Two wards out, one of them was spotted. Maybe? I don't know. Solid early poke. Be the nuisance Karma wants you to be. Camille getting some fair trades onto the Susan, who opted for a Dorn Ring start. So his sustain's going to be a bit in the gutter. But I guess he does have Fleet, so not the worst. Ooh, there comes Lilia for the early play top. Camille is withered. Doesn't get hit by the center, but it does look like she should be going down here. To Susan, no less. Alright, not a great start right off the bat for Brandino. Never mind. Okay. Okay. How Lilia died to the minions like that? Who knows? But I guess it worked out in the end for Camille. She does now have a longsword advantage. And a refill pot at that. That has a lot of aggression. But how's the minion wave for them? Okay, so they denied a wave. It is pushing to them. Alright, Sever probably has enough mana to crash this. Enough for a longsword and boots, I assume. Victor a bit overextended, will avoid Lilia's seed thing. But he's kind of out of mana at the moment, getting minion blocked pretty heavily. Here comes the Sejuani to try and peel the Lilia off, but she will die, uses flash for it to the Victor. That was a very close call for him. Unfortunately, can't quite crash the wave though. Him and Vex both dangerously low on mana. They both really want to go back. But they don't have the means to actually crash this. Well, I guess Victor has enough, so. And Vex is... yeah. Fortunate. It's the first TP in mid. Second one should be following soon after. Lilia hovering around top yet again, going to go for yet another play on Brandino. Here comes the Wither. And the kill, this time into the Lilia's pocket. Fortunately, Sivir missing the boomerang. Nice bubble from the Nami. But the shield from Karmo is just massive to offset that trade. Is Camille pushing up yet again for the Susan? But he's not really missing all that much CS, so I think he finds. Doesn't get nearly as much stacks as you would like, but... Ooh, very nice. Forces the ultimate out. Lilia coming in yet again, but from a different angle this time. Won't manage to net much from it. Except now she's rounding the tri-bush. But Camille's level 6. This may go differently from what's usually seen. Camille ultimate does get the Q2 recast. Kill will be going to Susan. Honestly, if I were Lily, I would take that. Not just because you would get more gold because of the assist, but I feel the gold is better spent on Lilia. Especially in these situations when you've got a lot of tanks on sides and you're a power farming jungler that is presently very far behind in CS compared to the Sejuani, so yeah. 56 to 22. 2 level difference between the junglers at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Alright, at least here's level 5, but it's still a pretty big gap. 2,000 gold and quite a bit of XP differences. Sivir is level 5. Almost level 6. Lilia hovering, only level 5 herself. There's level 6. Karma pretty far from level 6 herself. I don't think this is a particularly bad spot for the Sivir, though, to fight. Like, they've already shown that their trades are pretty strong as they are. Ooh, Vex going in top, but not really going to amount to much as Camille is able to quickly get away. Comes the trade from Sivir, misses the Q, but still deals more thanks to the mitigation from the Karma. Nice shield on the bubble. Lilia coming in bot side yet again. Doesn't have level 6 yet still. Karma Chain almost finishing off. Sivir ultimate was popped for the escape. But ultimately still doing quite well themselves. Significant gold lead for the Sivir over the Jinx. Should have her first finished item soon. Lily is still sitting there. Didn't get much since earlier. Sejuani's taking all of Lilia's camps even. Misses the seed, out comes the flash. Ooh, she got her level 6. But nothing of it. Honestly, kind of crazy that Lily got level 6 from level 4 in 12 CS. Well, I guess she was like a single jungle monster from hitting level 5 at that point, but catch-up XP is weird. Well, I guess it's more so time scaling jungle XP. Both, or well, Vex ultimate misses. Victor gets out. He has 2 levels on the Vex, though. I'm kind of surprised that he played that a bit scared. Maybe take the Lilia Bauble as you back into the bush so that Sejuani can get a bit of afterwards. I don't know. Sometimes if you know where the enemy is, you might want to bait. You might want to play for bait. But he TP'd back, has his first finished item over around a 1.5k gold lead. Vex is struggling really hard to get CS. Top lane sitting relatively even, but Susan has a bit of lead. Also sitting on 174 stacks. I don't think that's too bad at this point. He's basically been able to like reliably camp the lane here, so. That Karma's here, but it's not going to be killing a kill onto the Susan, at least not yet. And he is still able to pick up plenty of stacks, so. Flash from Lilia. Doesn't have her ultimate just yet. Susan going to be going down to the Ignite here, maybe? Flash from Karma to finish him off. Camille runs out. Lilia E misses, but the Qs should probably be enough. Depends on whether Karma can get her mantra stacks back yet or not, and does not manage to. Lilia will be spotted on the ward. Trying to hunt for the Camille. Side's no longer worth her time. Victor hides, so the Vex can take back. She still doesn't have a finished item, however. Coinflip has been doing a fantastic job maintaining tempo in terms of resources in the early game so far. With the first tower already gone, all those plates going to Victor. Coinflip taking a lot of plates on their across the map thus far. I think that Nasus is the only one that's taken any. But it's kind of been a rough time in the top side, so. Alright, Nasus dead. He does have Trinity Force. It's kind of matched up on the top side. No boots on Camille, though. Alright, Sejuani coming down. Jinx going to be caught herself into a bad spot. Will be going down to Sivir. Alright, Victor came down. Vex landing ultimate onto Karma, but it's not really going to amount to much of anything. Karma shield value's so high, man. Also, Vex not having her finished item. Should be able to finish it now, though, I think. I assume it's only like, what, 450 with those items? Kind of, roughly. Close enough. But Victor opting, or, well, he had a Dark Seal. He's got plenty to spend himself. We'll be going back here. Going to be going for Lichbane second here. Yeah. As Sejuani has finished her jungle item while Lilia still has 14 stacks to go. Rift Herald will be coming up here shortly. Nice Q2 onto the Susan. Alright, what is the map state looking like? There is positioning or posturing being done to set up for this Herald. Rescue car going over the wall. Sees the Lilia, going to be going hard aggressive. So much damage coming out. Should kill Lilia here. Camille does recall, but she has teleport available to her. huge bounty is available to, I keep forgetting names, to Solace. Which ain't surprising considering the massive gold gap. As Sivir nearly takes an inner turret, avoids the zap. Karma distracting the enemy and getting herself out quite easily herself. And just that sheer pushing power on Sivir. Not even getting how strong her pokes are going to be outside. Here comes the flash. Should see an ultimate from Lilia soon. Nope. Decided not to. I assume she wasn't aware of the timer for Sivir's shield. But they did get a flash out of Sivir for it, so. Sejuani coming in with Karma to lock down Lilia. Tidal wave from Nami will dissuade any further action. Here comes the Sivir with ultimate. They're in the jungle, cornered. Out comes the Victorol as they get out. Vexalt lands. Here comes the fear. Few abilities follow up, but she does not have quite enough power to actually capitalize on it too much. Here comes the Wither. Now let's see how the Susan will contribute. Lilia managed to slow one. Drowsy comes out, but not the target they want as Lilia nearly dies and gets out now. Tries to look for a camp. No. Susan dead. Jinx dead. Lilia trying to recoup a bit of health from her camps, but will be spotted out by Sejuani. This is a pretty bad situation for her. Is going to have to leave the wolf. She still needs 9 stacks to finish her jungle item. Missing a lot of speed with that. Atacon should be coming up in the next 2.5 minutes. Sivir just doing what she wants. Annihilating these towers and no one's coming by to stop her. Hextech Dragon is up. She is in a pretty bad spot. See how she gets out of it, however. Lilia does not have her ultimate available. Don't think she can really take that. But, yeah, there comes the Wither. Unfortunately, Sivir will end up dying. Kill going to Susan. Vex is struggling for gold. Behind a bit over 3,000 from the victor. Not values you would like to see. As Camille aims for the Jinx, takes her out. Here comes the Flash ultimate, or Flash Mantra shield from Karma. Does not manage to save Camille. As Solace is trying to turn onto Coinflip, but only so much you can do when half Coinflip's team can kind of nuke your health bars like that. Oh. Nasus claims a bounty for his team at the very least. His hopes for late game scaling are there, but with Sivir, Victor, and Sejuani being quite as they are, things do not bode well for Solace at this point. Vex really needs to get some gold. Unfortunately, her contributions fights don't really be doing much. Nasus is heading up top for the Sivir. Atacon will be spawning in a bit. It looks like Coinflip will be trying to get that on spawn at this point. Maybe? come. Alright, and Atacon should safely be going to Coinflip. With Dragon Soul coming up in 3.5 minutes, and Lilia's 1 kill away from finally finishing off her jungle item. It's a bit hard for her to do stuff in this phase of the game without the zoom provided by blue jungle item. As their base will be cracked into already. Solace's base is. Flash from Nami was charged. Here comes Crow with the ultimate. Jinx nearly dying. Nami as well. However, Susan coming in from the side manages to take out Sivir, but the CC from the rest of her team locking him down for the kill on them. As Lily goes down not long after, a lot of lockdown power from. And once a single person in Coinflip catches you, you're just kind of dead. Hard time to move from Victor and Camille being on top of you. Karma as well. Being melee into Karma is an absolute travesty too. No Merc treads on Susan either, so he's taking the full brunt without any tenacity to assist. Alright, 2 minutes for that Hex Soul spawn. Alright, item differences. Victor opted for Mejai's. Has Ludens and Lich finished. Vex still struggling to finish her second item. Just got their needle at this point. Looks like they're going for Shadow Flame. As Brandino's just wrecking away at the tower. Every wave basically being pushed in at this point, with supers helping on the top side. Can't really do much to stop shoving from Sivir, however. Might want to sync up the waves style push, otherwise it's just kind of back and forth in Solace's favor, provided they have the line to dissuade siege like this. There comes the entrance. Sejuani came out, helped disrupt the Lilia engage into them. As Jinx goes down not long after, Krieger is dead, but he does what he had to as Camille comes in for the kill onto Nami. Susan manages 2 kills on his own, but Vex dead not long after. The base is exposed and Solace should be going down here. Karma is not going to be letting Nasus get away well, except he is teleporting out at this point. Will Camille do anything to stop him? Comes a lot of damage out. Will get bonked trying to repel into him. There comes the Spirit Visage by. So Nasus is a bit terrifying to be near, but thankfully for Solace, 2 of their opponents are dead. Unfortunately, one of those opponents that is not dead is Coinflip's jungler. And as we've seen in previous matches, Rusty Crow is a bit of a force to be reckoned with when trying to smite fight. Lily getting low, but her sustain is actually coming in for something at this point. Krieger goes down, did not have his ultimate up yet. Sejuani going down right afterwards. Here comes Susan going ham onto everyone. Thankfully getting those kills in for the Jinx, her first kill of the game. Ooh, as Camille actually trying to go for a backdoor, will get forced off as Susan is there. will manage to Hexgate away. But Karma should be going down here shortly, it seems. Does get her Mantra Tether off. Will Camille manage to get Jinx? She did. Bori Shield keeping her alive. Unfortunately, Brandino misses with the hook shot. Here comes Krieger. Should be able to take out with the Lichbane and ultimate with the empowered auto. Brandino just doesn't want to let Solace rest, but at a point you might have to wonder yourself how much you might be overextending. There comes the flash from Vex, misses the Q, but does manage to secure the kill at last. Krieger will be taken out by Susan as well. That is the 10th kill on him. Sitting at 588 stacks, squishies beware. You gotta play smart around him, otherwise the game is not gonna be going into your favor. The longer you let him be the monster that he is, the harder it will be to finish this game out, because his teammates are picking up their items as well. Vex finished her second and is partway done with her third at this point, while Victor is still working on his third himself. He only has 2,000 gold lead. I think it's the Mejai's that held him back. Probably might want to consider selling it for the Void Staff, considering how much of a threat the Susan is at the moment. Karma does have Oblivion Orb. That should help out some. As Coinflip will be going for the Baron after their soul was denied, taking a lot of hurt, as Solace does actually have damage to contest these things at this moment. Here comes the hook shot from Brandino to try and dissuade the capitalization on the bubble. Susan walking into Sejuani there, using Wither, but it has no effect thanks to Sejuani's passive being up. Jinx is forced back to defend, however. This does put it into a 4v5 situation for Solace, but you do have Baron working with you, so it kind of depends on how fast it's going now. And Lilia gets caught out. Camille ult coming down onto the Nasus. He's going to have a hard time, but Vex is on the backline, putting a lot of pressure onto Karma, preventing her from being able to support her team. But Nasus will be going down here. Does take Camille with him. Wait, is he going down? Nope. 2 kills. Sivir and Camille. There's another Q. He's still alive. Nami heals and his own going wild with the Spear of Visage. Baron attempt going wrong. Gold nearly, well, not evened out, but there is the threat of the super minions on Solace's base at this point. Apologies for saying that Nasus was down, as he was not down. He was down to kill. Wild stuff. Just much more of a powerhouse. I should, you know, look at his champion info next fight. Those resistances doing pretty darn well for him. I would assume he's going Sterak's Gauge next. I would assume that or Sundered Spear, but kind of hard to say. Since Sterak's would give him the tenacity that wouldn't be bad to work with. As well as, you know, the Burst Shield, which the opponents have no tools to really deal with. Helps compound with his Spirit's Visage as well. Alright, Sivir taking camps from Lilia. Nasus trying to recall, but gets caught out by the Victor. Victor doesn't have a Liandry's, so it's not in super. trying to start the Baron again, but they're not in quite a good position for it. Vex trying to defend the base from Camille, however. Here comes the Ghost from Nasus trying to lead the charge. There comes one of the slows from Lilia onto the Victor. Ghost almost out. Camille does take out Vex, so the defenses on their base are going to be going away. They're going to have to recall because they have no turrets to prevent the Nexus from getting killed. So Solace will be forced back at this point. Nasus has no Ghost. No other mobility summoners available to him. Does have fleet footwork, but you have to be able to hit something for that to get procced. Camille does back off, but now you get to play a waiting game. Plus with Hextech Soul finally up for them yet again. Ooh, nice try from the Jinx to steal the Hextech Drake. Man, Jinx players with the freaking guts on their rockets into dragons. It's crazy. NASA's sitting on 702 stacks. Does opt for the Sterax Gauge. 1094 base shield after being affected by Spirit Visage. And he has unflinching, so he doesn't amplify his own shields at the moment. Alright. Camille pushing bot side yet again, does have teleport available to her. Do see Vex and Susan recalling at the moment. It is one of those times where you kind of have to decide if you're going to be doing anything as this objective, because if Camille pushes in, it's not going to be a good spot. But it's also not going to be a good spot if you don't really have great wave clear and you have 2 waves of super minions pushing onto your base with your 3rd inhibitor being available to the enemy. Lily coming in to try and steal, goes in a bit too late. However, Vex does manage to pull off a kill onto Victor. So that's something at least, but Lilia died as well, so that is... Ooh, next goes Nami. Susan teleport comes in, might have to decide to just fight this, but Jinx is having a not great time into the Sejuani here, can't get away. Zaps won't do anything. Susan trying to do what he can, Sterax comes up, but he can't get close to the Sivir. All that power for naught, as Solace is aced, as their Nexus will go down. That will be game 2 for Coinflip. Good attempt at recovery, game 2 in Solace. But unfortunately, as you saw, the struggle for Nasus when he is the core focus of his opponents, no matter how fed he is, it is a bit difficult for him to move and get those bonks that are so essential for his game plan off. But that is the end of this series. 2-0 for Coinflip. Fantastic in both games that they've played. Solace showing a bit of recovery attempts in the later phase of game 2. Unfortunately, Lilia took far too long to actually get the ball rolling. Sejuani kind of mopping the floor with the jungle clearing. It took over 20 minutes for Lilia to finish her jungle item, which severely held back a lot of her presence. Not having that bonus move speed from jungle item does a lot to you, as well as having late access to your ultimate. Very unfortunate on that end. Unfortunately, Jinx also had a lot of struggling to deal with throughout early game. The trades were never going in their favor. The power of Sivir or Karma shields pounded with Sivir's pretty solid early game damage worked out really well. Sejuani's base values doing some work, especially the early game interjection from Sejuani into the Lily of X when Victor had no mana, getting there just in time and charging the Lily of Flash. Very nice timing. There was some good coordination for like ganks throughout from Solace's part throughout the games, but unfortunately the goal didn't always go where it needed to go, or just weren't able to capitalize off moments. But it is what it is. Hopefully there was plenty for each team to learn from and further improve in future. That's what this all is in the end, just learning experiences. Alright, and with that, we'll be calling it. Thank you everyone for watching. This was Arpie's Spies, streaming for LOLMidwest. Hope you all have a great day. Have fun and stuff. Bye!